When we build the wall up to the level that we need, it can be 270 centimeters or 300 centimeters, up to each person. How do you like it? And after that, the top of the wall may be not even. It may be up and down like a wave, but it doesn't matter because we are about to put the beam on top of it. If we build the first floor, this beam can be the base of the roof. But if we're going to build second floor, this beam is going to be the second floor, the beam for the second floor. So the technique is quite simple. This is the top view of the wall of the house. It's about 12 meters by 12 meters. This is the size of the house. This is our first beam. The beam have to be on top of the wall as much as we can. If it can be in the middle of the wall, that is the best. And in this beam, we stick out 1 meter at least each side. That side is 1 meter. And if we stick out more than 1.5 meters, we need to have the pillar to support it. If not, it can sag. This is the first beam. And then the second beam is going to be far apart from the first beam, not more than 3 meters. Normally, it can be closer than that, but it should not be further than 3 meters. This is the second beam. And the third beams, we try the second beam and the third beam quite close together because we try to put the beam on the wall as much as we can. That's the reason why the second beam and the third beam quite close together. So the first layer of the beam, we have 4 beams for this house. And then the end of each beam will stick out 1 meter each size. And this is the first layer of the beam. The next thing we have to do is the second layers. The second layer, we will start with the end of the wall each side, like this one. So we want to make it square as much as we can. So the first one, the first beam will be at the end of each side. The beam of the second layer, we will have many of them, and each of them will be about 40 centimeters far apart. But at the beginning, we put only 2 at each end like this. We put 2 because we can check the corner. We need to make the corner 90 degrees exactly. And at the end of each beam, need to stick out 1 meter at least also. Sometimes if we want to make it overhang wider, we can stick out more, but need to have more pillar to support it. When we put the second layer of the beam on top of the first layer of the beam, we need to check these 4 corners to make it 90 degrees before we weld together. So every corner, 4 corners, have to be 90 degrees exactly like this. It will be easier when we go to the next step. And after we check with the 90 degree like this, next thing we need to do is pull the string to check diagonals like this. If it equal, that means every corner is exactly 90 degree. This is the way we recheck it again if it's 90 degree or not. We normally use the long measuring tape to check across the corner to recheck again if it's exactly 90 degree or not. And then after that, we will check the top of the beam is even or not. So if it's too low, we use brick to support it, or use wood or anything, raise it up high to the level that we need. After we check 4 corners, make it even. It can be 300 centimeter from the bottom, or 270, 250 is up to each house. And then the next thing is we put the second layers of beam. Each piece will be about 40 centimeters far apart, because we will put one kind of board we call smart board. It's a mixer of cement and paper or some kind of fiber. It's quite strong. If the board is thick, we can make the beam wider, but if the board thin, we can make the beam closer. If there's some corner that the floor stick out from the wall more than 1 meters, we always put some beam to support it. That will help to make it strong. In this case, we use temporary pillars first, and then we put the real pillars later. After we check all the beams even, the top of the beam is very even, we can put the rest of the second layer of beams on top of it. This second layer of beams is going to be the beam that carry the floor. The floor can be cement, can be wood, can be anything that we want to have it. It depends of each house. After we finish the beam, we need to fill up the gap between the wall and the beam and cover the beam with mud. So we don't have anything to connect the beam and the wall together. We just cover with mud. This is some part of bricks that we support the beam to make it even. Sometimes we have a lot of them. And then before we put the floor, we need to cover with the beam with mud. And any part of metal beam that have to be in the mud, we always cover with plastic like this, because sometimes when it exposed to the mud, sometimes it can rust even we paint over it. In the past, all the house that we built, we never cover with plastic like this. But when we took down some of the house, we found that some part of it rusty. So this time we want to experiment to cover with plastic first before we cover the whole beam with mud. And then after that, we just build up to cover the beam, make it even to the top of the beam. And then we can put the floor on top of it evenly. It will be easy. This is the smart board that we are going to use. It's the same size with plywood, but it's thicker, about 16 millimeters. It's a mixture of cement and some kind of fiber. I don't know. It can be paper. So we paint one side of it. That side is going to be our ceiling. So this side is what we paint. We have to be careful when we move it up. So it will be nice and clean. We don't need to clean a lot after that. But the top side of it is rough. This side will pour concrete over this area. So we don't need to worry much about this side. Then we seal the gap between each smart board with sealant. It can be cement or can be grout, whatever, we can use it. And then where we will have the overhang far, it's good to have the pillars ready for that area. This pillar will be finished before we pour the concrete. And then after that, we use 2x4 to make the edge before we pour the concrete, because the layer of the concrete will be about 2 inches thick. That's why we use 2x4. And after that, we will pull the string to see where is going to be the wall, and then we can know where is going to be our bathroom, and then we can make a hole for the septic tank, for water, for drainage pipe. So this part we need to do it before we pour the concrete. That will make things a lot more easier. Before we pour the concrete, we put the wire on top So this is what we call wire mate. It will help to hold the cement together. This is very convenient for us. After we put wire mate all over, we can support the bottom. If the wall too far apart from each other, we need to support it to prevent sagging. Because when we pour concrete, it's quite heavy. If we don't support it, it can sag maybe a few centimeters or more than that. It depends on how far it is. To support it is worth it. It's important to do that because when it sags, we cannot fix it anymore after it dry. And then we use 2x4 as a level. When we pour the concrete, we prepare long piece of metal 2x4 and then level it. Second floor, if we can have crane, it will help a lot. It makes things a lot easier. Crane will help to lift the cement from the bottom up to the top. That's very convenient for us. When we use 2x4 to level the whole thing, it make it very easy and make it even in the big area. It's very convenient with the long 2x4 like this. Two people maybe need to help each other to pull it, to level it. This is 10 hours later after we pour the floor. It's quite strong and nice. You can see this is the bathroom. It's going to be here, and you can see that septic pipe, drainage pipe, everything's ready. The next step is we need to water the whole thing and use plastic to cover, to edge it, to make it hard slower. It will be stronger, better if we can edge it. That is all about the floor for the second floor. For the one-story house, it can be the roof if we do one story. But if we want to make second floor, wait for the next episode. It will be how to start the second floor. That's quite fun and easy. We can do it ourselves easily like this. If you want to have a book, we have Living with Earth. It's about how to build earthen house on Amazon too.